What's up, everybody? Azariel here, and welcome to another Yu-Gi-Oh! 101 tips video. This was originally going to be a discussion video, but I decided to make it a tips video. On top of the fact I haven't done a tips video in a while, I figured this fits more into the tips category than a discussion category. So therefore, I'll be calling it tips. And this is for all these people in Yu-Gi-Oh! They think they know more than somebody that actually knows what they're talking about. I'm gonna get some help from my friend Blue-Eyed Maiden. Bitch, please. In this video, we're gonna be talking about the inexperiences of of today's average duelist, and what we're going to be speaking on is you have to understand that not every card is meant to be played the same. In this misconception, now I kind of spoke on this in previous videos, but I feel like I really needed to dedicate a video to this topic for itself, because this alone is a topic. In a previous video, I stated that today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelists, this new era, the current era of Yu-Gi-Oh!, they've been overexposed to too much of the same thing. So they feel when they get something that does not play as what they're used to, or what they're constantly bidding, or what they're constantly getting fed, you know, on a monthly basis via new card releases or new archetypes, they think it's garbage. And because only because they don't know how to have patience when the time comes. It's always rush, rush, rush. Special summon, special summon, special summon. Um, summon this monster, activate this effect, and things like that. Like, it's the same cycle of abilities and effects, and it's just stale and repetitive and boring, and they don't know anything about, strategy. Like, to them, Yu-Gi-Oh is about letting the deck do all the work for you, and you put no thinking in it outside of reading some online net deck profile and just copying that and just going whatever strategy that the person made the online profile told you to do. And they feel like that's all Yu-Gi-Oh is. And unfortunately, hate to bust your bubble, but bitch, please, you don't know a damn thing about Yu-Gi-Oh if that's all you think Yu-Gi-Oh is. So first off, let me just explain that not every card is meant to be played the same. That's the topic. And just to start off, I'm gonna take this back to when the Exceeds first got introduced into Yu-Gi-Oh, and I think at the time the only Exceed that was being used on Dueling Network, or like the only Exceed that they had, truth be told, um, or much rather the only ones that they had, was a rank 3. I think they had a couple of rank 1s, and they had one rank 4, and that was the only one actually being used. You know, and that rank 4 was Steel Swarm Roach. Now, Steel Swarm Roach has an ability. Wait, hold up. I have to actually pull this card up because I haven't looked at it in a while. Hold on one second. All right, here it is. Steel Swarm Roach. I had to look it up. Rank 4, Dark Fiend Exceed Effect Monster, Attack 1900, Defense 0. Description: 2 level 4 monsters. During either player's turn, when a level 5 or higher monster would be special summoned, you can detach one Exceed material from this card, negate the special summon, and if you do, destroy it. This was the card that was primarily being used, and the only reason why it was being used was because Exceeds was like the latest thing, and people just wanted to exceed. They just wanted to exceed because it was the latest thing. They never looked at it the way they were supposed to, and even I was guilty about this. You know, pretty much for like the first couple of weeks the card was out, I was even guilty of this. You know, when something's new in Yu-Gi-Oh, it just takes off. People want to jump on it, and like they want to experience for themselves. You know, saying like there's a gay joke in that somewhere in there somewhere, but people just jumped to the conclusion that this card was just going to be good. When they seen the 1900, that's all they paid attention to really, and they never thought about strategy. You know, they never looked at it as a card that you're only supposed to summon during certain times of the duel, and they just did it randomly, you know, and pretty much just expected the card to work. Again, letting the cards do all the work. I just got through speaking on that. You can't let all the cards do all the work. Not every card is meant to be played the same. You can't special summon this and or exceed summon this and expect it to work, you know, like another card, like some high attack power beat stick. It's 1900 for a reason. And it's meant to be played differently. Just like several other cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Not everything is going to play the same, but I come back to Steel Soaring Roach because this was the first one that people were actually using, you know, improperly. And instead of looking at the effect and saying, okay, well, based on the effect, it's only supposed to work like this, you know, not necessarily like a 1900 beat stick, because obviously there's level 4 monsters that can beat it, you know, in battle. So you can't just throw it out on the field whenever you feel you want to have an exceed on the field just because. You have to look at when it's more opportune for you to use that card. Otherwise, you're just like you're pretty much just wasting two monsters, you know. And people just claim that things suck because of that. You know, the game is much bigger than you realize. There's more thought that goes into this game than you're letting yourself to believe. You have to do some of the work. This is the work you have to do. You have to strategize, and I mean actually strategize. You know, I even given away, saying, like one of my biggest secrets when it comes to making builds. Have several strategies in one build. Have a primary strategy, a secondary strategy, and then a third strategy or fourth. You know, have backup plans just in case that first strategy doesn't get off, or if you're not able to pull off that first strategy, you got these other ones to back up on, you know, as backup, just so that you can get to the primary strategy or slowly work your way towards it while maintaining some type of defense on your side of the field from your opponent's monsters. I've won, you know, duels. You know, I have a fan day series and my duels are recorded. You know, a lot of people seen my duels over the years and they have witnessed, you know, via the videos I uploaded on YouTube, duels where it seemed like my back was against the wall, that I didn't have any chance of winning, and because I actually thought about what I was going to do next and paid attention to the cards that I had in my hand and the cards that my opponent had, because I paid attention, because I read carefully, because I actually did, you know, what a player is supposed to do in Yu-Gi-Oh! And not just let the cards do all the work for me and just expect some miracle to happen. I end up winning the duel. Now, of course, you got those people that try to psych you out. They try to rush you, and they try to say, "Hurry up and do your turn." And don't pay those people no mind. You know, that's just mind games. You know what I'm saying? You're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! You're not in that big of a rush. You know what I'm saying? Nobody is. So I don't pay those people no mind. If they leave the duel, oh well. You know, like I took the W anyway. But it's always about patience in this game. Even though the builds these days kind of, the archetypes and builds that you see these days kind of go up against that, the game is still about patience. It's always going to be about taking your time, seeing what you need to do, and doing it in order for you to get the win. You know, you might not always get the cards that you want. You know, not every deck is going to have a bunch of massive searchers, a mass amount of searches. You know, not every build is going to have monsters that can destroy spells and traps. Not every build is going to have, you know, monsters that can special summon other monsters. You know what I mean? Not every build is going to have monsters that can do the things spells and trap cards are supposed to do. That's why they have spells and trap cards. You have to work. You know, see, this is the advantage of playing Yu-Gi-Oh since it first entered the United States, and even watching the first series of Yu-Gi-Oh and everyone up until now. You learn that you have to use your monsters in combination with your spells and traps, rather than just have your spells and traps, you know, be used to, how can I put it? You have to use your monsters in combination with your spells and traps, or more rather in unison with your spells and traps, more than you just, tossing out spells and traps whenever, and then throwing a monster on the field and just expecting all that just to come together. Because a strategy, be it low tier or top tier, and I'm actually going to have to make a video about that soon. Like, it probably be sometime this week, but I'm gonna make a video about tier system, because that shit right there, like, I got a lot to get off my chest when it comes to a tier system. But the tier system don't mean shit unless you make it mean shit. You know, if a tier system was so important and such a determining factor in whether or not a build was supposed to be good or not, then a lot of the lower quote unquote tier builds that I used wouldn't have beaten those builds. It's called thinking. If everybody in, let's say for example, and I always use this analogy, um, if everybody, okay, let's say for example there's like 30 duelists, and out of 29 of those duelists, I'm the only one that's not using the exact same build. So let's say, for example, like the other 29 duelists are using cards like Dragon Rulers. Instead of me sitting there joining the fray, knowing what to expect from those, why not just make a build that counters everything that the Dragon Rulers do? I'm putting myself in a position to more than likely win the duel because I have cards that can counter what the Dragon Rulers do. On top of that, I'm strategizing because I'm not putting myself in the same position as the rest of the guys. I'm putting myself in a position where, you know, I'm thinking one step ahead, you know, and that's something that people rarely do in Yu-Gi-Oh. It's work that you have to do as a duelist. You have to make your own strategies. You have to, you know, do some thinking for yourself. Otherwise, you're gonna lose duels that you're not supposed to lose. You know what I'm saying? So that's some real advice for you, from coming from somebody that's been playing this game since it came to the United States back in 2002. You know, you have to do some work in this game. If you actually have to do some thinking. You know, believe it or not, like, not every build is gonna autopilot itself for you, and it's gonna come a time in Yu-Gi-Oh when, it's going to be a lot of builds that don't, that won't be able to autopilot. Some of the best builds won't be autopiloted, meaning that the builds won't play themselves supposedly, or like as people say these days. So with that being said, I hope you guys understood what I was doing with this video. I didn't necessarily want to make people feel bad, but when there's any type of false information or any type of belief that things are only supposed to be this way or that way, I've been playing this game long enough to know that it's not only that way. And somebody has to call out the bullshit. And if nobody else does it, then, or if somebody else did and I don't know about it, oh well. Like, it hasn't happened, in my eyes. But if nobody else does it, I will. You know, if people are going to learn the game, they need to learn how to play it properly, instead of just being handed a deck and just saying, "Here, so like, go play this." Otherwise, you're going to run into people that don't even know the basics that I've pretty much spoken on, you know, long ago, you know, people that think that tribute summons and normal summons are two different things. People that think that, you can activate Utopia's effect after a trap card like Mirror Force or Dimensional Prison has been activated, which I both blew out the damn water. I proved them wrong beyond a shadow of a doubt. YuGiOh basics, man. You got to learn the game from scratch, and you got to find somebody that actually knows what they're talking about. If anybody is just going to hand you a build and tell you, hey, this is what it is, and they're not going to teach you the game step by step, I'll do it. One of these days, like, I'm going to actually do, like, I'm going to have to find somebody um, that can help me out on Dueling Network, because I feel like that's a better website that, for you to get the experience that you would get, you know, when you're in person with somebody, because you're gonna have to play the cards manually, just like you do on Dueling Network and things like that. So one of these days, look, I'm gonna do a dueling tutorial video, just leading up from the basics from the early days of Yu-Gi-Oh, leading up to all the way up until now, so that people won't feel so left out. Like, you have to learn these things, and if nobody else is going to do it right, if nobody's going to lead you to the right places, then just know that you'll be able to get it from me. I'm going to teach you right. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to teach you the fundamentals of the game, and I'm going to teach you the basics, so that by the time you learn the advanced things, the basics won't be left out and you won't be making stupid decisions like I've experienced with some people that have played advanced builds, but because they didn't know the basics, they made some basic mistakes that, you know, that cost them the game. So yeah, this video is just basically about cards that, aren't supposed to be played the same, and the work that you have to do as a duelist. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know I kind of steered off topic a little bit, but you know, I still believe I hit some pretty crucial points. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, peace, and I'll see you guys next time.